What you should know is, scientifically, a sperm is produced in the testes and not the backbone in the ribs. Hello? Muslim friend? I'm saying a sperm is manufactured in the testes, the testicles, and not your backbone or your ribs. Your backbone and your ribs does not contain sperm, but your Quran, Surah 86 verse 7 says that man was created from a fruit, and that fruit is emerging between the backbone and the ribs. It's not true. It's not. Please, are you a Muslim? Are you a medical officer? Please. This one is not because of what. Please, it's not because of what you have been told by your imam since childhood. You are a scientist. Please ask you a question. The sperm comes from the ribs and the backbone. Between the ribs and the backbone, or the sperm comes from the testes. Please, Muslim, I beg you, not what your imams have told you from Makaranta and in the monks, but what scientifically you can prove. That's your sperm. If you're a man, that's your sperm. Come from your ribs, between your ribs and your backbone. And if you're a Muslim woman, you're a medical doctor, I'm asking you this simple question. Does the sperm that the man used to impregnate you, the sperm from the man that touches your egg, and then you gave birth to Amina, for Amina, Aishatu, Al-Hassan, Abu Bakr, that sperm that came from your husband, did the sperm emanate from his testes, or emanate from between his ribs and his backbone? You are welcome. I'm Dr. Nebuji Chrysolite. We are going to talk about some scientific. The Muslims claim that their Quran is something that is scientific, and they keep on saying that their Quran is so good that when you look at science in the world, the Quran has been able to show that it is from God and that it is scientifically accurate. I've done some videos. I've been teaching about Quran concerning their scientific knowledge, and I've proven to people through Facebook and so on that all the scientific accuracies in the Quran are unscientific. And yesterday, a friend of another Muslim sister wrote some things that she believed are scientific and it's in the Quran. So let me turn to the listen and then read them. Let me turn and then read what she said. This is what she said from Facebook. Mashallah, the wonders of the Quran. The Quran mentions unbelievable motions of mountains. It mentions the Big Bang and crunch theory. Quran mentions how waves are produced, and also bones can turn into stone and iron. Bones can turn into stone and iron. She says Quran also speaks of the ozone layer of earth and connection between rain and earthquakes. Quran also mentions embryology in great detail. It mentions the pulsar stars, black hole, and many others. She continued, Quran mentions the gravitational waves and the fluorescent light from plants. It also mentions the sun's original white light and intense radiation can freeze shadows. She says the Quran also mentions process of subduction, by which land is decreasing, Earth's exact movement and how it changes seasons, and also the exact shape of the earth, age of the earth, and how every celestial body is in orbit swimming. It also mentions human creation elements, stardust. It says the Quran, the stardust is the Quran also mentions history in great detail. For example, it tells what things Babylonians used to worship, which was not in the Bible, and history, which we decode now from the Rosetta Stone, was already written, even named Pharaoh itself, Pharaoh's chief. And there are many other historical and numerical and scientific miracles. So this is what the Muslim sister said concerning the scientific things in the Quran. And I'm saying that I'm coming to do I'm going to do systematic lessons to show to you that there is not a single scientific accuracy, and all this supposedly scientific accuracy in the Quran are false, are fake, are off. They are all off. So let's start from embryology. Let's start from embryology, and look at what they say concerning embryology. And let's start from embryology. First, I want us to know that I have the Quran translated here. First, I want you to know that I have the Quran translated here, and then I have a Quran here also. I have a Quran here also. Yeah, I have a Quran here also. Now let's talk about embryology. Embryology, and I'm saying scientifically, when you talk about embryology, the way Quran defines or explains embryology is false. It's scientifically inaccurate. But somebody will ask, what is embryology? I went to let's go into Google and search what embryology is. Embryology is a study of development of an embryo from the stage of ovum fertilization through to the fetal stage. That is embryology definition. It's an unborn or unhatched offering in the process of development. In particular, a human offering during the period from approximately the 2nd to the 8th week after fertilization. Do you understand? So that's what you know about embryology. And this is what the Quran says. This is what the Quran says concerning embryology. The Quran says the embryology is a clinging clot. It's a clinging clot. You know, clot is when you talk about blood. It says the embryo. When you say embryology, it means logy is study of embryo. So embryology means study of what? Embryo. So we are studying the embryo, what the Quran says the embryo is, and what scientifically the embryo is, and whether scientifically what the Quran is saying is right. The Muslims are saying it is right. Okay. First, they are saying that, let's read Surah chapter 96, verse 2. Let's read Surah chapter 96, verse 2. Surah 96, verse 2 says, created man from a clot. That's Allah created man from a clot. That is Allah created man from the blood, a blood clot. And when we say a clot, it simply means is what in the Arabic is alaqah. Alaqah, just like Allah. Alaqah. It says man was created from a clot or a clinging clot. Now somebody will ask, what is a clot? Let's go into the dictionary and look for what a clot is. Now I read, what's a clot? A clot, a black clot, also known as a thrombosis, is a clump of blood that forms in a blood vessel. Black clots can be dangerous and require prompt treatment. So when you say a clot is a blood clot, what is also known as thrombosis? Do you see thrombosis? Is a clump of blood that forms in the blood vessels. And blood clot can be very, very, when somebody has a blood clot in his blood vessel, it can kill the person very easily. And Allah and his Muhammad are saying that what? A human being was created from a blood clot. When your blood clots, then Allah brings out a human being. But scientifically, it's not true. An embryo is never a blood clot at any stage. Mm-hmm. An embryo, it is never a blood clot at any stage. And we will learn where these Muslims got it from. In the first place, I want you to know that the Quran was not by Allah. The Quran was first written by a man called Waraqah, who is the uncle of Muhammad's first wife, Khadija. He was doing a translation of the Bible into Arabic. He didn't finish, then Muhammad took it. When Muhammad took it, he re-edited it He removed some things. He changed the Bible verses into something else. He brought in fairy tales, and then he brought in things that the Arabs believes in. He added all into his fairy tales and poems. Do you understand? That's how the Quran came. I've heard a video about this. Go and search for it on my YouTube channel. But when it comes to this embryology, or the study of embryo, or how man was created, or how man became like me and you, it was influenced by a Greek embryology. A man called Galen works. Do you understand? It's called Galen works. It's called Galen works. It's called Galen. It's about the Galen works. Do you see what this man known as Galen, and there's another man I've forgotten his name. There are two Greek people who wrote about the embryology, and it is from there Muhammad copied. And some of you said, how can Muhammad copy when Muhammad is an illiterate? I have a video to prove to you that Muhammad is not illiterate. He was highly literate. So Muhammad took the book of Raja, that is later was called the Quran, and he did some additions. So when you talk about the human embryo, scientifically, the human embryo develops from a fertilized egg. Hello? The human embryo is what? It's developed from an egg, fertilized egg, which is known as a zygote. It is not a clot, it's not a blood clot. When a man impregnates his wife, do you understand? And the sperm and the egg meet, and they are fertilized. That egg is fertilized by the sperm. It is known as a zygote. It is not blood. When a man enters his wife, what is there? It is the sperm, and the sperm makes the woman's egg. It is not the blood. If you're a Muslim, please, when you have sex with your wife, what comes out of you? Is it blood? Is it blood? It is a sperm. And scientifically, when you talk of embryology, modern science describes cell division, differentiation, and organ formation. Modern science tells how a human being is born, how the egg is fertilized, how the zygote comes about. So scientifically, it is wrong for Muslims to say that man came out of what? A blood clot. It's not true. And then the Muslims go on for the Quran goes on further by saying that the semen, you see, comes between the backbone and the ribs of a man. The semen of a man, the Muslims are saying that it comes from the man's ribs and his backbones. Now somebody will ask, what is a semen? A semen is a fruit. Is a fruit that contains the sperm of the man and other substances which are released from the male reproductive system during ejaculation. When you sleep with a man, you sleep with your wife. What comes out is the semen, and in the semen there is something known as the sperm. Do you understand? That's why some people, it's like I've heard them. They use this like. When they sleep with their wives and they ejaculate, the women are not able to give birth. They said their sperm count is low. But what comes out, which depends upon the color, but most of the time it is transparent. What comes out, there's supposed to be a sperm inside. You don't see the sperm with your eyes. What you see is the semen, but the semen contains the sperm and other substances. And these are released through the male reproduction system when the man ejaculates into his wife. And it's also known as the seminal fluid or the seminal plasma. But what did the Quran say? What does the Quran say? What does the Quran say? They say it comes from between the backbone and the ribs. They are saying that when you have sex with your wife, the sperm comes from your backbone. It comes from your backbone and your ribs. That's what he's saying. He says it comes from your backbone and your ribs. Let's look at Surah chapter 86, verse 6 to 7. Surah chapter 86, 6 to 7. I read. He was created from a fluid emerging from between the backbone and the ribs. Surah chapter 86, 6-7. And this man was created from a fluid emerging from the between the backbone and the ribs. From the fluid. And the fluid here is the sperm. And I say you the Muslim, you were created by the Allah from a fluid. No problem. And the fluid came out from what? The backbone and the ribs of your father and mother. The ribs. It's scientifically not true. The sperm does not come, your sperm does not come from your ribs. The sperm does not come from your backbone. It's not true. What you should know is, scientifically, a sperm is produced in the testes and not the backbone and the ribs. Hello? Muslim friend? I'm saying a sperm is manufactured in the testes, the testicles, and not your backbone or your ribs. Your backbone and your ribs does not contain sperm, but your Quran, Surah 86 verse 7 says that man was created from a fluid, and that fluid is emerging between the backbone and the ribs. It's not true. It's not. Please, are you a Muslim? Are you a medical officer? Please. This one is not because of what. Please, it's not because of what you have been told by your imam since childhood. You are a scientist. Please, I ask you a question. The sperm comes from the ribs and the backbone, between the ribs and the backbone, or the sperm comes from the testes. Please, Muslim, I beg you, not what your imams have told you from Makaranta and in the monks, but what scientifically you can prove. That's your sperm. If you're a man, that's your sperm. Come from your ribs, between your ribs and your backbone. And if you're a Muslim woman, you're a medical doctor, I'm asking you this simple question. Does the sperm that the man used to impregnate you, the sperm from the man that touches your egg, and then you gave birth to Amina, for Amina, Aishatu, Al-Hassan, Abu Bakr, that sperm that came from your husband, did the sperm emanate from his testes, or emanate from between his ribs and his backbone? If you're a Muslim, please answer me. If you know science, please answer me. So medically, it's not true. Medically, the Quran is wrong when it says that the sperm does not come from the testicles, but the sperm comes from between the ribs and the backbone. If you look at the human private, please, if you're a man or a woman, please, when you look at the man's private, is the man's private closer to his ribs and backbone? When you look at the human anatomy, does the testicles of the man, is it closer to his ribs and backbone? So scientifically, the Quran is wrong when it says that the sperm comes from between the backbone and the ribs. Sperm is formed in the testicles and is transported via the vas deferens. You understand? You see, there's some I'll try and maybe put the design or the picture of the testicles area on the video. I'll try and put this. You see, so the sperm is formed in the testicles and it is transformed via the vas deferens. Yes. And the Quran description is based on an ancient Greek and Indian medical theories. Ancient Greek and Indian medical theories. Let me try and look for it and read it. And read it for you from the man Galen, and yes, I've forgotten this man's name. Hippocrates. It is their definitions. That is what the Muslims or Muhammad took and put into the Quran. I read. Let's go into the Google, and then you can type the Greek influence concerning embryology, where the Muslim took the embryology, the study of the embryo, where they took it from. I read. Greek influence, Galen and Hippocrates. Greek physicians like Hippocrates, 460 370 BCE, and Galen, 129 to 216. So they were born and they died before Muhammad was born. And they are Greek physicians, and they wrote this thing. They wrote their, what they believe is scientifically right. They wrote it before Muhammad was born. So what they wrote was there for it to be copied by Muhammad. And that's what people believe in the first place, that it was right. I read. They wrote extensively on embryology. The Quran description of human development closely resembles their ideas. Hippocrates' theory, that is the 15th century BCE, he described the embryo as forming in stages. 1. Semen as a source of life. Then a clot, that is a conjugated blood, developing into flesh. Then bones forming first. Then being clothed with the flesh. This matches Surah 23 verse 14. Now, this matches Surah 23 verse 14. I read Surah 23 verse 14. Surah 23 verse 14. Then we made the sperm drop into the clots. You understand? So they are saying that the sperm drop into the blood. We made the sperm drop into the clot. When he made the clot into a lump, then we made the lump into bones, and we clove the bones into flesh. That is the Hippocrates theory, or that is what Hippocrates believed. More than 2,000 years ago. More than 1,800 years ago. And this is the Galen theory. He came in the 2nd century. He came 200 years after Jesus Christ has died, resurrected, and ascended into heaven. This is Galen's theory. He's also a Greek physician. Galen described the embryo's development in 4 stages, which mirrors the Quran's stages. 1. Nufta, that is drop of fluid into semen-based origin. 2. Alaqah, that is the clinging clot, that is into blood coagulation. Muga, chewed lump, that is developing tissue, formation of bones before flesh. The Quran appears to repeat these concepts without adding anything new. So please, when you're saying for it, just add to what the Quran says in comparison to what Galen and Hippocrates said. You understand? Then you get this information. So, based upon what Hippocrates, these Greek physicians, and Hippocrates and Galen said, the Quran, Muhammad, when he was bringing out the Quran, he copied from them. And that was what they believed to be scientifically accurate more than 1,800 years ago. More than 1,800 years ago. Let's go on. Then I said, what they've written in the Quran, it was based upon what has been said by the Greek physicians, which is not true. And then the Indian physicians, Muhammad took these writings and then he added it to the Quran. So people say, some were telling me that the Bible didn't talk about embryology, but the Quran speaks about embryology. Like what I read from what the sister said. So let's look at what the Indians also said. Scientific errors, there are also scientific errors. What the Indians also said, the Indian influence. There's a man known as Sushruta and Charaka. Ancient and Indian medicine, Ayurveda, also had embryological description that predates the Quran. Sushruta Samhita is a 6th century BCE. He was before Muhammad. He described how the embryo forms from male semen mixed with female blood. You see, he's saying that when you have sex with a woman, it's not egg but blood of the woman that makes the children. Female blood, similar to the Quran's claim that humans are created from a clot, alaqah. Charaka Samhita, 3rd century BC, he also said mentioned stages of development in the womb, some of which are echoed in the Islamic text. So all these are scientific errors in the Quran. They are scientific errors. Okay? What I want you to know is the Quran's embryology is not divinely miraculous, but it's rather a reflection of an outdated ancient knowledge. You know the world is developing, and there are some things that scientists believe formally, but as the world develops and so on, they are realizing that some of the scientific things they said are wrong. Because knowledge, the Bible says that in the last days, knowledge shall increase. Do you understand? And at 200 years, 300 years after Jesus Christ has died and gone to heaven, he's already gone to heaven, this Galen, I keep on forgetting, the other man, this other man, he also what? He and this Galen, they came out to show that the human being, this is how the human being is created. This is how the human being is created. Hippocrates, this is how the human being is created. By science, as science is being developed, and we are using more scientific instruments and so on, they are realizing that the Galen's theory and the Hippocrates theory is scientifically off. It's not true. And these Indians also, I can't remember their names so well now, unless I go and look at it again. These Muslims also, Sushruta and Charata, these Indians scientific also, some of them were even saying that it was the sperm that gained blood and the human being keep. They were scientists, they were physicians. But they've come to realize that it is scientifically not true. It's scientifically true. And these are things Muhammad read and copied into the Quran. You see, when you look at the Quran says that, first Allah made bones first. Bones. Human bones. The bones. He said Allah made the human bones first. Before he added flesh to it. But it's not true. Scientifically, bone and flesh come at the same time. Simultaneously. You see, they come at the same time. One doesn't come before the other. Bone is not formed before flesh. Bone and flesh grow at the same time, scientifically. They develop simultaneously, not one before the other. I'm saying again, if you're a Muslim scientist, you are educated, please go and make a research. Your Quran is wrong. Bone does not come before flesh. They all come simultaneously. They all come at the same time. And then the second thing they're saying is the human was created from the black clots. That is Surah chapter 96 verse 2. It is not true. A black clot does not turn into an embryo. No. For you to say that a human being was developed from a black clot. No. This is scientifically inaccurate. A black clot does not develop into an embryo. It's not true. It's not true. When you talk of semen that contains the sperm and so on, the semen, they are saying that the semen originates from the man's ribs and the backbone. It's not true. Semen is produced in the testes, and it's not between the backbone and the ribs. And when you read Surah 53, I've forgotten the verse by that Surah 53. I'll write it when I get the verse. I'll write it on the screen. It's talking about sperm determines gender alone. No, it's not true. This is, it's not the sperm of the man. This is that determines gender alone. It is the Y and the X chromosome. The egg, that's the X. This is it's both the X and the Y. It's both the X and the Y chromosome. That is the sperm the sperm, which is X or Y, the sperm is either X or Y. And then the egg, which is the X chromosome. You see, man, we have the X and the Y chromosome. And women have only X chromosome. So both the X and the Y chromosome, that is both the X, Y, and the X chromosome, they contribute to determine this, whether your child will be a boy or a girl. Do you understand? The man has the X and the Y chromosome. Women all have only X. Do you understand? You have only X. So when the XX chromosome, when the XX comes, the child will be a girl. When it's XY, it will be a boy. To be a boy. So, and let's read. I think Sahih Muslim. Let's read Sahih Muslim 2643a. This is the Sahih Muslim 2643a. Abdullah B. Masud reported that Allah's messenger, who is the most truthful of the human beings and is being truthful in the fact, said, verily your creation is on this wise. The constituents of one of you are collected for 40 days in his mother's womb in the form of blood, after which it becomes a clot of blood in another period of 40 days. Then it becomes a lump of flesh, and 40 days later, Allah sent his angels to it with instructions concerning 4 things. So the angels write down his livelihood, his death, his fortune, and his misfortune. By him, besides whom there is no God, that once amongst you acts like the people deserving paradise, until between him and paradise there remains but the distance of a cubit. When suddenly the writing of destiny overcomes him, and he begins to act like the denizens of hell, and thus enter hell. And another one acts in the way of the denizens of hell, until there remains between him and hell a distance of a cubit. That's the writing of destiny overcomes him. And then he begins to act like the people of paradise and enters paradise. See, when you talk of modern embryology shows the development starts immediately. And that's not, you see, the developments are saying that the clot is a 40-day clot stage. You see that when the embryo is formed or whatever, it takes 40 days. But modern embryology shows that the development starts immediately. It does not remain a clot for 40 days. That before you become a boy or girl or whatever, the blood clot will be there for 40 days. It's not true. Before the embryo is developed, it's not true. Embryo development means physically, it starts immediately and does not remain a clot for 40 days. The fact of the matter is, human being is not even made by clots, blood clots. It is when the sperm of the man meets the egg of the woman, the sperm that comes in the semen, that comes from not the backbone or the wrist of the man, but comes from the testicles of the man and touches the egg and able to go deep into the egg of the woman there, and then the woman then becomes a zygote. It becomes fertilized. The egg is fertilized, and then a boy or a girl is born in 9 months' time. He's born in 9 months' time. That's what the Bible is talking about. I said the Bible. That's what scientifically it says. The Quran's embryology is based upon, like I said, pre-existing medical theories from the Greek and the Indians. But scientifically, they have realized that it is not true. Scientists will tell you that it is not true. It is still the Muslims who believe that it is true. And this raises serious question about the divine origin of the Quran. The Quran is not from God. It was a book written by Raja, and later when Muhammad died, Muhammad took it, and then he re-edited it. And then when he died, a man called Uthman also bent part of the Quran, and here it is. And then recently, 1924, in Egypt, the Muslim scholars met in Egypt. Just this 1924, they met in. That is 101 years ago. No, we are in 2025. 101 years ago, they met in Egypt, and then they re-edited the Quran. Yeah, because Christian scientists and Christian apologists, polemicists are disturbing them. And then the ones which they didn't agree with, they put them into the Red Sea. Which one bench is? They destroyed them in the Red Sea. So my Muslim friend, when you talk of embryology, what the Quran has written about embryology is not true. Scientifically, it is full of errors. It's full of errors. Man was not made by blood clots. Scientifically, it was the sperm of the man from the uterus that joined with the egg of the woman, not a blood clot. And I ask you again, when you had sex with your wife, was it the blood that joined your sperm? Woman, a man. So this is the scientific errors of the Quran, and that's the first one. I am going to systematically, I've done some videos already, not videos, I said it on Facebook. For many years I've been speaking about it, but now I'm creating videos to show Muslims that scientifically it is not true that man was made from a black clot, but scientifically man was made, man, you and me, we came from the sperm of our father that joined the egg of our mothers, and then we became man or woman, we became baby girls or baby boys. May God bless you. I'm Dr. Niboje Christolite. If you're a Christian, please share this video to your Muslim friends. Please share this video to your Muslim friends. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel of mine. Don't forget to subscribe. May God bless you. May God touch you. See you in the next scientific proving how inaccurate the Quran is when it comes to science. May God bless you. See you.